What is up, guys? Wraec here with a new video, and today I want to take you guys on a little bit of a review of the current Clashfronts game that just ended. My guild was able to win this with 4,000 points. Absolutely monstrous 4,000 points. And I want to take you guys on this extended trip throughout the rounds of this game, because I want to do this as an extension of the guide that I already made about Clashfronts. I want to take you guys through the rounds, take you guys through my considerations, take you guys through the strategy that we used and through everything that we thought about and that we learned throughout this process of those 5 rounds. And I think there are some very meaningful points in there that you can use to maybe improve your clan for the next game and maybe get some more points. And yeah, so I think we're just going to start off with round 1 because, well, the first learning was already right there, and we have this very nice UI here where we can just go through the rounds, see the current state at the end of the round, and just talk about it a little bit and even review the fights if we want to. So we have, I think, at least 1 or 2 fights that I want to show you guys, and that could be fairly interesting. So starting off with this first round, the initial goal is clear. It's the same for everybody. You can only attack 2 of those bases. You can attack 1 of those 80 bases and 1 of the 100 bases. The main difference really is that the 80 base here can't be attacked by anybody else, as Evil, the opposing guild here, would have to conquer their own base first before they can go for ours. So this one, if you put a single player in there, you will conquer it. And the more meaningful one, where there is really a battle, is really this one. And this is a very tough battle right for the start, because we fought breakpoint here, and most guilds will go full ham on this. So this was a battle 86 teams versus 74. I reckon, how many teams did they have here? They put 20 teams in there. We put only 5, so this really helped us getting this point. And the question really for this first round, and the question that you have to ask yourself, is how do you split up your teams? Well, there is certainly an advantage to putting some teams right here. We decided on a very low amount. We put only 5 teams in here, which was not enough to get the max points from Combat Trial. Combat Trial, it was a little bit harder than I first anticipated. I thought it would be a little bit easier, but turns out very, very quickly you go from fighting a team like this that really can't do anything against our lineups. Like if we see my lineup here, for example, yeah, well, really kind of one-shots every single hero that gets touched here. We can put it on double speed. It's just immediately gone. So this is really not much of a challenge. And it goes from this very, very quickly to, if we go to the bottom here, to looking like this, where you have a full P4 team that you fight with Dunlingers as here. And it can be everything. It can be Dyne as well. I saw that. So this is very, very crazy. And then you go in there and, yeah. This looks pretty much, if you remember the teams that we tested in the early Paragon testing of Intimidation and Inspiration, and that pretty much looks like it getting stomped on by a Lumont, a 6-star P4 Lumont. Absolutely insane. And as far as I know, this counts as PvP. We are waiting for the confirmation message of this, actually. I might add that to a pinned comment down below if it really counts as PvP. But in that case, yeah, Inspiration and Intimidation would be active, and you fighting P4 heroes, making this pretty tough. So can get absolutely crushed. And yeah, that kind of requires you to have a few more strong people in there. And the question about this, of course, ends up being, can you afford putting strong people into this to get all of the combat trial points, or do you go for like the 100 base a little bit more? In my opinion, the 100 base is arguably a bit more important. We lost out on 9 points here overall. But of course, if we lost the 100 base, then our points would look somewhat like breakpoints or profit. Here, where we went from we had 259, they had 124. So this is way more disastrous to do. And thus, I think going a little bit lighter on this one turned out to be the right strat. Though, if you know you are way stronger than the other guild, then distribute a little bit in that, and you will be fairly fine. Round 2 was then the first one where we got a little bit of a learning. The strategy was to conquer both of those 200 bases to establish a foothold in the middle of the base, and to kind of be able to go for the HQ and keep the HQ without actually having to defend it, because once you have those 2 bases, nobody can attack HQ but us, and that brings us the very nice position where we just have free 250 points plus the combat trials there every single round. So that was the idea. Without really wanting it though, we accidentally conquered this one, the 80 base down below, because we set a Vanguard skirmish team here. And you can do this for every single base that is adjacent to your bases. So this was the evil base last time, and it was adjacent to our 80 base here. So we set a Vanguard team on their tile, and this then fought their Vanguard team, which was this one. This initially already gave us 20 points. So that is something that we notice right here. It gives us 20 points just like that. And Fungi was able to actually defeat them in the 6 versus 1 because he was just that much stronger. And not only did we get the skirmish win, which gave us 20 points, but we also got the melee win, so for the full base, which is another 80 points. So we got 100 points with a single team. And that was the point where we were like, oh, yeah, that is pretty cool, actually. And for the next round, we said, okay, we have a very central point here, because as soon as you have those two 200 bases here, those two, you are adjacent to every single tile on the map. So actually, though we can attack every single tile on the map, doesn't matter which one, we are adjacent to all of them, so we can set Vanguard teams on every single other tile on the map and do this for every single other tile. And this is exactly what we did. We went ahead and did exactly that. And our goal for the next one was conquer the HQ, keep those 200 bases, set Vanguard on like everything, and see how the points develop. And it turns out, okay, Evil took this base back, but we still won the Vanguard skirmish, so that is 20 points for us. 20 points from a single team. And we had to improve our Vanguard lineups a little bit because we lost a few skirmishes. But you can see it's another 20 points right here. It's another 20 points right there. And, well, if there is no enemy that can attack your base, there's actually no Vanguard skirmish. So that is something to note. And here we have even 30 points from skirmish because there were 3 people fighting that. And yeah, that gave us a very nice 164 points from skirmish, which is quite insane. 730 from the middle here, and then 77 from combat trial, which is less meaningful than skirmish, which was quite surprising for us. So for round 3, I was very happy with the result. Didn't mind Evil taking this back because, well, it's like we went there with one team. So rather easy for them to take, and it's alright. The hamster appeared here. We kind of decided that we want to leave the hamster to Evil. The hamster gives us 400 points. We decided not to go for it. They fought a pretty tough battle here, and we were like, okay, we don't really care. We are going to follow our Vanguard strategy. We're going to get more points with that anyway. Let Evil get the second place. We're fine with that, more than fine with that, actually. And we just wanted to establish our foothold here and get everything going. And yeah, do a pretty held back, pretty defensive strategy that started offensively and then kind of defensively and point farming wise more on that end. So we didn't really have a goal for the coming round 4. The coming round 4 was supposed to just do the same once again. Keep everything kind of set like a Vanguard team here and there. And it turned out that was fatal. Yeah, look at that. That wasn't good because we made a mistake. A mistake that was avoidable. Well, 2 mistakes really. The first mistake that we made was we kind of had a very, very clear defensive pattern. And the defensive pattern was always that we defended the upper fortress more, upper base more than we defended the lower base, which is an error. Like not in the terms of the assessment of the situation and the need to do so, because the idea that I had when I decided this was, okay, Breakpoint can attack us here, Profit can attack us here, and we can be attacked by Evil on this base. So there are all three other guilds can attack this base, making this very vulnerable, because while maybe Profit would have a hard time defeating us, Evil would have a hard time defeating us, if we fight all of them at the same time, we quickly run into problems. And yeah, turns out Breakpoint had another idea, and that was very smart. I leave them to that. They just decided, okay, we go in with 65 teams just on the bottom fortress, knowing that we set 42 here, and well, it was actually pretty equal on this one, 43 there, and we took the loss there. We took the loss. And that was very, very annoying, because then we lost this fortress, and this brings us in a very, very ugly position for turn 5, for round 5. That is really not nice. There was one nice thing in this area. I actually won the Vanguard here, and we once again won a 1 versus 6 and got this base back with the 80 points. So a second time in this match, we won this base with just a single player attacking it, which is really, really cool, because Evil had to go for that hamster, and they went everything. They went ham from that hamster, because that's a 500 point tile right there. I can get that, but yeah, I was able to snack the 80 base like this. Endgame went into the upper base here, which I still don't like. He said sent 4 teams into that, but I argue like it would have gone for the upper base anyway, so it didn't really cost us the bottom base. We would have lost that either way. But what does that mean now for round 5? Well, for round 5 it means we are in a very ugly position, and we already talked about the assessment where I said, okay, this can be attacked by 3 guilds, so we have to like put a little bit more defense into that. Well, we could say this one is more central to us. This one is more critical to us. It links to 2 of our 80 bases, and it links to the 250 HQ. So this one just links to the 250 HQ before Endgame actually conquered this. So last round, yeah, you can already see this links to an 80 base, links to the 250 base, while this one wouldn't have linked to any 80 bases. So this would have given the bottom one actually a little bit more importance. But really, I still think that they could see that we just had lower defenses on the bottom one. That was like the error. I think we should have just switched it around for one round. Taking the risk of losing it just to kind of hide a little bit better that we had the lower defense usually on the bottom one. So for the next one, the decision was we have to defend HQ, because now they can attack HQ, and I thought they would do that. So we wanted to defend HQ. We wanted to keep our 200 bases as well, and for that I said, okay, we are going to take the loss on the 80 bases. We're not actually going to defend those 80 bases at all. If they want to go for those with like 6, 7, 8 people, they can do so. And we were just going to say, okay, let's see if we lose them. And yeah, the result here now is absolutely insane. And you will be very surprised to see this. Round 5, and yeah, we won everything. It's crazy. We won back the 200 base in a 19 versus 7. They didn't go for the 200 base at all, surprising to me. I kind of anticipated they might just go and attack the upper 200 base, thinking like, okay, they are going to focus on HQ and conquering back this one, then okay, let's sneak out from behind and get this 200 base. So I still defended this, and they went for it a little bit. 20 teams in there, so kind of still very strong attack. And then they went full in on the HQ, but they are way weaker than we are. So we won this with our 31 teams, 5 teams remaining, even a little bit from the trial. And there was 2 really surprising things, I would say. The first one is this one. They didn't defend this at all, didn't even set a Vanguard there. So we managed to snag this entire thing with this, or they set a Vanguard there with one single team from Megafungi. And Megafungi captured this and got us 120 points right there. Then we had this one. I had to defeat a few people there, but we once again got this base. And on the upper one, there was an insane fight, because I want to show you guys this. This is crazy. Check this out. We have like a P2 Olmus, we have a P2 Nero, we have a P3 Iron, P1 Alsa, a P3 Arden, an arguably well-set team with like a Nero fending it off against Lily May, fighting against P1 Lily May, and Supreme Fresto, Supreme plus Damien, a P1 Tazi, and a Legendary plus Bonnie. And we take a loss. It's absolute madness. Fungi takes a loss here against this team. So I couldn't believe it when I first saw it, because, well, we've basically fully wiped this team. And the Tazi here had only 1 more revive, then goes into the ult, manages to snag a kill, which then, of course, gives her another revive. Manages to get another ult off, get another kill, and then chains him down and basically defeats his entire team, even though there is a super huge Paragon advantage here. And I think that is like absolutely crazy. Yeah, what is the flaw of the Iron Team? The Iron Team is a pure burst team. Of course, he doesn't have any here, and neither does he have anything that is really immune to CC. There is no unaffected on this team, which, of course, something like a Harak team would have. And throughout the artifact, he doesn't get it really. So makes it kind of vulnerable to Tazi, which is interesting, and then he's not able to actually defeat this. Tazi has like the Ulmus there. Tazi gets to chain another ult and another ult and another ult, and eventually, yeah, as an attacker, he loses out to just not being able to defeat Tazi, and the attacker then loses. And I thought this was just like an absolutely insane match, because if I just looked at the teams, I would have definitely said Megafungi is going to win, but wasn't the case here. So we lost that Vanguard match actually, which is completely crazy. In the end, this round was an absolute game changer. We didn't need it. We were so far ahead anyway, but having an end like this where we have all the middle bases, have a 100 base, have a 80 base, I think is definitely insane. Breakpoint here with a very weird position, because they actually lost this 80 base to Profit at the end, which I thought was also funny. And yeah, so main takeaways, maybe let's summarize it a little bit. Vanguard, in my opinion, is if you have a few strong players that can set Vanguard teams, is super strong. You can kind of spread your Vanguard teams throughout the map if you have the right positioning. And ever so often, when people completely abandon certain bases or abandon them to the biggest extent, where we can see like 5 teams or something in there, you can snack an 80 base, and that is absolutely juicy, because it will give you like 100 points immediately. And spreading the Vanguards out and having like a Vanguard in most bases, I think, is a very good strategy. Even though it takes away a certain bit of power from your main bases, it has so much potential to generate points for you that I would always do that same thing again. The middle strategy worked out, but it's certainly not very agile in terms of the teams that you have to set, because you have to bind a big amount of forces in your 200 bases, and then you can't really go out and just say, okay, we go for the hamster. I think against decently strong teams, we would never stand a chance to go for the hamster if we already hold the 200 bases without losing one immediately. A strategy like the one that Breakpoint does here is a very big threat, and you can avoid it a little bit by switching around your defenses accordingly, so that they can't really identify the weaker base, but still they could go ahead, focus their entire guild in that, which I don't think is a good strategy. Like it leaves you vulnerable to losing bases like they did in round 5. In general, completely abandoning a base should be something that you think about very, very hard, because if there was a turn 6, yeah, I don't think Breakpoint would have had a very good position to go for. They could have gone for this base and maybe the 80 base, but we would have easily defended, warded them off here. And if they wanted to go for this base over there, I mean, okay, we wouldn't really have needed a whole lot to ward off Profit, because they were a lot weaker than we were. Evil is there, so yeah, I think we would have been in an even better position if in a high potential round 6 than we were before. So definitely keep your bases locked so that something like this doesn't happen to you, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Losing off 100 points to single enemy team is something that should never happen. And I mean, in this position, did it really lose them the place? I think they went for a high gamba. They are going for the 250 for the HQ. I think the less greedy play and just saying, okay, haha, they will defend their HQ, we take their bases. That would have been something that would have been a little bit more smart. Like going for this base, I think that would have had potential. They lost with like 31 teams here. I think the same. They might have won here or on this one, something like this. But like splitting then up and just going for an 80 base here as well with 10 teams, what did that do? Like that was completely useless. In the end, turns out this was the last team they had, but 10 teams were in here and they lost bases to that. So yeah, something like that I wouldn't really recommend. Keep that in mind. I hope like this little bit of insight helped you decide for future games of Clashfronts, because we have a few more. Of course, this was just the first one, and there will be tougher ones coming up ahead. So take your time putting strategic considerations to the test, and then thinking about them, discussing them, and then with a good guild communication, I think you can score a win. So with that, I wish you guys a great day. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see us in the next one.